This video is going to be how to integrate some basic equations that you'll see and some strategies to use so you can recognize which ones are more complicated. Let's start with the first one, fairly straightforward polynomial. If you have a polynomial with no fractions, no powers that of quantities, then you can just straight integrate. So the integral here of x to the third, you raise the polynomial by 1 and you always divide by that power, because when you take the derivative you want the power to become the same constant that's here. So there's a 1 here. If you were to take the derivative of this, you get 1x to the third. You integrate here, you raise by 1, that's x squared, divide this constant by that power, so you get 5. The derivative of negative 5x squared is negative 10x. And you raise this by 1, and it's just 3x. The derivative of a linear function is a constant. And then you always have to add your constant c. So there would be our answer. We don't know what c is unless we have more information, but the derivative of c was 0. That's why it does not show up. When you have a fractional exponent, you want to rewrite as a fraction. So this is x to the 1/2 plus 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 dx. So let's take the derivative, or the integral, you raise it by 1, so that's 3/2, and then you divide by 3/2, which is the same as multiplying by 2/3. And you raise this by 1, and that would be 1/2. Divide by 1/2, same as multiplying by 2. This is already multiplied, because you take 2 times 1/2, you get 1 plus your constant. Going to the next problem. Now we have a fraction. We'll learn strategies later on for this, but we have to divide everything out and turn this into a polynomial. So this is x to the negative 2 when you divide. When you divide here, you get plus 2x to the negative 3, and then minus 3x to the negative 4. And those are all going to be integrated with respect to x. That's what the dx means. So now I have a polynomial. I can use my power rule. Raise by 1, divide by that power. So divide by negative 1, you get negative 1. Raise by 1, divide by that power. So if you're dividing by negative 2, 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. Raise by 1, divide by that power. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. So we had our constant of integration. The way you can check, take the derivative with respect to x. So negative 1 times 1 is x to the negative 2 plus 2x to the negative 3. That matches. Minus 3x to the negative 4, and that matches, plus c. And that's your quick check to make sure that works. I'm going to erase some of this so we have some room. Okay, so the next one is an example that you see, and again, we'll learn some strategies for more complicated ones like this, but for right now, you need to change the form. So 4t to the 4th minus 4t squared plus 1. I just multiplied out that, changed the form, and now it's in a polynomial form. Raise by 1, divide by the power. Raise by 1, divide by the power. Raise by 1, divide by the power. That's just going to be 1 plus your constant. If you want to take the derivative with respect to time, 5 times 4/5 is 4. t to the fourth. 3 times negative 4/3 is negative 4t squared, plus 1, derivative of constant is 0. This should always match up with where you started when you take the derivative.